else can you do?
All right. I mean, we're just sitting here. Lakeena, we don't even know. Neither one of us know exactly what to say right now, but it's one of those moments where you you're satisfied in one way, but you're still like, this is. I don't know what are you feeling. I can't speak for you, Lakeem. What are you feeling? The Bears. Let's just put it out there as good broadcasters. The
Mhm.
Bears officially have their quarterback, their new quarterback of the future.
Mhm.
They traded up from the 20th overall spot to the 11th spot, picked up Justin Fields, who, maybe years from now we may be looking at another uh, Patrick Mahomes type situation. But at the best, that type of thing doesn't typically happen with the Bears. But
No.
this is what. But the similar thing that happened that year when the Bears famously failed and traded up for a guy who didn't work. This is the reverse happened this time. A guy who so many people say was among the top two quarterbacks in the draft
Mhm.
came down to them and they met him halfway, got up to 11 and picked them up. I mean, it's the type of forthrightness that we rarely see from the Bears as we bring Ryan Bukowiecki in as well.
Ryan.
Uh, uh, like I said, Lakeena, what are your thoughts?
Look, I'm just glad that they didn't screw up. I'm shocked that they didn't screw up. And hey, Ryan, look, I'm shocked that Pace didn't screw this up. I mean, I think he kind of had that in the back of his mind, like, okay, once Lance ended up going to the 49ers, things kind of started to fall into place. The Broncos, they may, try to get a quarterback. They didn't. They went with Surtain. And look, everything else kind of started falling into place. And like you said, Kyle, I mean, they kind of met, the Giants halfway, and they didn't have to give up any first round picks. They got, they traded the 20, this one, the 164th pick, the 2022 first round pick, and also the fourth round pick for that draft, for next year's draft as well. So, look, they didn't have to give up a lot. And I'm already like seeing some, Bears fans are excited, but I see some fans are still kind of skeptical. I'm kind of like at an even keel at this point because I want to see how Fields does in Matt Nagy's system. And I think that this was a trade and a pick that the Bears fast felt that they had to make. And they know that they're who knows if they're on the hot seat literally, but they're on the hot seat with Bears fans. And I think at first glance, Bears fans are excited about this, and well, we'll see what he can do. I mean, that QB1 tweet that I when that resurfaced from a little over a month ago in March, saying that, hey, here's Andy Dalton QB1. Yeah, about that. So look, I mean, there was some. Look, it would have been an embarrassing move if they did all that and they got Mac Jones. It would have been such an embarrassing thing, but they went. Look, they went with another way. So we'll see. We'll see how Justin Fields looks. Once they start camps and whatnot. But I'm excited. What about you, Mr. Bukowiecki?
Ooh, baby. I am feeling really good about everything. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I got Justin Fields here to Chicago. I'm just going to let everybody know that right now. Because in my Bears history,
really?
Let me give you some context. Let me give you some context right now. Earlier this week, with that Davis show, we had our Up for Grabs segment, and one of the questions was your least favorite Bears draft pick. And obviously Mitch came to mind, but I didn't want to go for the obvious. And mine was Cedric Benson, may he rest in peace, because I fell in love with Aaron Rodgers in that draft. And I wanted the Bears to select him. They obviously didn't. Goes to Green Bay. We know how that plays out. But the talk, I mean, all throughout Chicago's history, at least in our lifetimes and for those lifetimes, is they can't get the quarterback right. And this year, maybe more than at least recent memory, there was a desperation for that quarterback position. Oh, baby, were they desperate. And we know they tried for Russell Wilson. We know that they had to settle with Andy Dalton because they couldn't lose out just in case you couldn't get a quarterback in the draft. And we fast forward to this week, and that question and up for grabs, or I'm sorry, just towards the draft. And I wasn't feeling this draft this year. And Kyle will tell you, I'm draft centric. I'm crazy about the draft. But I honestly was wavering in my faith in what the Bears can do. So, of course, the years that I wanted them to get quarterback, and when they took Mitch, I wanted Deshaun, and then Patrick Mahomes was my number 2. So the years I wanted them to get quarterback, where they were positioned for quarterback, they don't take them, or they take the wrong guy. The 1 year I'm not feeling the draft, they're not in position to take a quarterback, and they get arguably the best quarterback that you can get outside of Trevor Lawrence. So you're welcome, Chicago.
I'll let you ride with that, man. But I think what most important is that I think they were listening to us, and they were listening to they were listening to common sense. Essentially, they had to be. Well, I mean, really, when you look at the history, at Nagy's history. I mean, not Nagy, Pace's history in drafts. This is not unlike him. This is not his nature is to be aggressive and to trade up. He's done it in just about every draft that he's led for the Bears. So, I guess this is. I saw one story, one post leading up this week that was sort of encouraging him to not to play it safe, and I understood the thinking there, because it was like, he's taking risk, and they've come through to varying degrees, in a lot of ways.
Kyle, just focus on that first round. Focus on that first round risk. Kevin White, Leonard Floyd, Mitch Trubisky. Yeah. Your draft strategy has sucked in the first round. Go ahead.
Yeah, but right. There you go. That is the main narrative to his career as a draft. I mean, no matter how many good guys he's picked up in the middle rounds, the surprising guys he's picked up or whatever, he hit on one first rounder with Roquan Smith, who was a Pro Bowl caliber player, but he's going to be known if he misses with this one, then he's out the door with this one, and he's going to be known forever for being a guy who just couldn't pick up good talent and really couldn't handle the quarterback position as Chicago's general manager. Or if Fields works, then he's going to be known as the guy who saved his job by drafting Justin Fields. So, hopefully it'll be the latter. And, but I think that type of mentality had to have fed into what was done tonight. He had to have known that, look, this is the guy, this is a guy, this is the guy. I got to pick him up, and I got to roll the dice with him. He's my last shot.
And that's basically what this whole pick was about. That they made the trade and they made the pick was because he knows, like I said, he's on the hot seat. And if he hits, great. If he doesn't, then hey, he'll be out of town. So it'll be interesting to see if. I'm sure he and Dalton will be battling it out. I'm sure. Look, if you're Andy Dalton, you're probably saying to yourself, "What the bleep, really?"
I was QB1.
Yeah, you told me I was QB1 about a month ago. So it'll be interesting how all this unfolds, because we'll see how Fields does in Nagy's system. And look, I mean, I think I'm optimistic that I'm more optimistic than I was about an hour ago. But again, I think we just got to wait and see if he does pan out.
And with the Andy Dalton thing, honestly, who cares? Nick Foles is staying. He's making way too much money. If Andy Dalton has that much of a problem, guess what they're going to do? Here's your walking papers. Take whatever little money we gave you. See you later. Right. He's going to have to compete or just shut his mouth, because he's got no footing whatsoever, and the Bears are just going to get rid of him at that point. And I think, at least in Pace, somewhat defense, because I don't want easy defending Pace. I've had a lot of criticisms of him. But since that Mitch pick, and we look at the picks before, Kevin White, Leonard Floyd, all upside, very little college production. Roquan Smith was the difference in that. Now Justin Fields is the difference in that, where it's high upside still with high athletic skill, but actual collegiate production. I don't know if Pace is kind of learning on the job or coming around a little bit. We'll have to see on that. But in terms of picking Justin Fields, I thought this was one of his best draft picks, period. And at least probably one of the best trades he's had. Now, of course, like Lakeena said, we have to see how it plays out, how he plays in the system. But I'm of the belief that Matt Nagy, Bill Lazor, John DeFilippo, they might not be great, but they're not idiots at the same time either. And I think that they will, if Justin Fields shows that ability to be that dual threat and that accurate downfield passer, they will come up with a scheme around him. And we've seen them change their scheme for Mitch. Nagy didn't want to run half the things he ran with Mitch, but he did it because it was the best chance for them to win. So I don't really even have too much concern on that end. It's really just, can Justin Fields develop, and how are they going to help him develop? That's the big question mark. I don't think it's going to be scheme. It's going to be also the talent around him. They got to focus on offensive line and wide receiver after this pick. And Kyle, for my mock draft, I had them going offensive line, quarterback, wide receiver with their first 3 picks. Those are, to me, their by far biggest needs, quarterback being number 1. That's been addressed. And I would still...
one of the fantastic things, sorry, Ryan, right?
No,
one of the things that really made me happy about this trade, though, we talk about what they gave up, is that they still have 2 picks tomorrow. They only gave up the 20th and apparently the 5th, I believe, for this year.
Yep.
And so they still have key picks in the 2nd and 3rd round. They have the 2nd and 3rd round picks, and those are rounds where Pace has hit. So I'm good.
And
with
this
that.
is a draft deep at tackle and wide receiver. So this is a great time, to go after quarterback round 1 if you can get there and not mortgage too much of the future, which they did, as you pointed out, Kyle. So now you can go tackle, wide receiver, and get potentially a really great player, because this draft is deep at those 2 positions.
Yes, indeed.
It'll be interesting though what they do. Like I said earlier, I mean, the depth is there at O-line, so they can get a tackle. It'll be there for the taking. And like I said before, I mean, the rest of the rounds, I mean, they got 2 picks tomorrow. Do they go tackle and corner, or corner tackle? And like I said, I mean, the depth on both is there. So we'll be interested to see what direction they do decide to go, because they get to keep both their picks. They didn't have to give up too much. And look, if you're a Bears fan, you gotta be feeling pretty happy tonight.
I hope it was up in the air. I think there was some worry that the Bears might go with Mac Jones, but they didn't, and Mac falls down to the Patriots. So he's going to be he's America's next QB apparently. But,
actually, Kyle, we got America's next QB. Take that back.
That's I'm gonna get into that in a little bit, but that's a good setup for what I'm gonna get into a little later. But like what I'm sort of jokingly alluding to is that Mac is the All-American looking guy. He goes to the Patriots. He's gonna be Bill Belichick's new project now. So or either that, or he's gonna be father. Well. San Francisco has their quarterback, so they're not going to trade for Jones. So whatever happens with Jimmy G, I don't know.
I think you're starting him for a year. You can't let Trey Lance go. He's way too raw. This is
that's true.
You let Jimmy G go for a year, and then you go Trey Lance.
That's true. What were your thoughts on that, right quick? Because we had Ken when the pick was made, and he was just torn up a little bit.
Yeah, Ken and I have had a lust for Trey Lance. When I was doing radio in North Dakota, I covered Trey Lance that freshman year.
All right,
really cool.
Really liked Trey Lance. Thought I love that program. It's a pro-style offense. He is seemingly very smart. He's got all the athletic upside. He just didn't play enough games. And he would have dominated competition this year. I mean, he destroyed the Missouri Valley Conference.
Yeah.
It is bittersweet because I hate Cisco 49ers. So I am with Ken. I'm pretty torn up about Trey. I was hoping Mac Jones was going to go San Francisco, and maybe Trey Lance would fall down enough that the Bears could get him, but my consolation prize was easily Justin Fields, so I'm pretty happy still.
Sure.
Well, and the
Because
great thing
again,
about
you're
it is that
talking arm and legs. That's all. The dual threat and playmaking
Yeah.
ability.
Yeah.
Which Lance does have. And look, if you're the Patriots, this couldn't have gotten any better for you. There were some rumors that maybe they would maybe take Fields if they fell to him, or Jones if they fell to him. So it actually, look, they didn't have to move up, they didn't have to do anything, and Belichick gets his guy. So we'll see if he does start right away. I don't think so. If you're Cam, you're probably like, you're kind of doing the what the F thing too. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, are they going to rebuild? I mean, I'm sure the Patriots are going to go for it. I'm sure Belichick's going to want to go for it. The only problem is that all your defensive guys who've opted out, they're now a year older. So that's another thing. So that'll be very interesting, though, too. Maybe a QB battle in Foxborough, maybe. We'll see.
Could be interesting.
Yeah, could be.
Let me go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I think that's a great observation, Lakeena. I mean, they're not committed to Cam Newton. It's totally different in my mind versus San Francisco. There's still that commitment there with Jimmy G. Obviously, they want to move on from him, just like the Patriots are going to move on from Cam Newton. But Mac Jones isn't as raw of a prospect as Trey Lance. So I could see him especially doing the things that Bill Belichick really wants, winning from the pocket. That's where Mac Jones' strength is, and that is not Cam Newton's strength. So that could very much be a big-time QB1 battle. But I would also say, too, the Bears are big winners in my mind right now. I mean, that rash of cornerbacks and wide receivers that allowed Justin Fields to fall. I mean, we can't forget, no doubt about it, if COVID wiped out the 2021 season, Justin Fields would be the second player taken in this draft.
Probably, you might be right.
Yeah, but I want to go back right quick though, because again, the choice between the apparent choice, we'll probably find out in future days how much of a choice it really was. But on one hand, you did have that traditional pocket quarterback, very well developed as far as his accuracy and everything, play call and play reading. But on the other hand, you had a guy who also has a lot of that, but is more of in the modern mold of a guy who can attack you with his feet as well, athleticism, and we're not going to overlook this in Chicago. A black quarterback is going to be the face of the Chicago Bears. And there's been a certain segment of the Bears fandom who was led to believe. And I never thought this personally. I fought against it at times, but thought that would not be the case, that the Bears would not allow that to happen. And that's changed now. So, I for those reasons too, culturally, and it gives me hope, and it gives me such a positive feeling that the Bears are really thinking as a modern team, as a team in 2021 should be thinking in the NFL. So they didn't, for so many reasons, a lot of the fans would have, when that pick was up in the air, they thought, they're going to go with Mac Jones, but they didn't. They went with Justin Fields.
You know why I would push back?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
The only thing I would push back against that is I don't like. Mac Jones isn't unathletic. That's kind of been a miscall. Just think of him as a stick quarter pocket. That's not. Of course. But Ryan Pace, I mean, and even Matt Nagy, I think, especially if we're trying to do this kind of quote, like he was there for Patrick Mahomes kind of thing. Well, Mahomes isn't just a guy that just is a statue in the pocket. He's crazy athletic. Ryan Pace loves high upside athleticism. To me, that's all Justin Fields. Justin Fields has a stronger arm. You could say Mac Jones is more accurate, but how accurate Justin Fields has been in the biggest of stages. And he's got way more speed and athleticism. I think that Ryan Pace never would have really considered Mac Jones over Justin Fields.
Yeah, but
it would have been an agenda of race at that point, to be honest.
Right, and that would have been, like I say, that would have been the scary thing about it, because I think, again, for a lot of Bears fans, black fans, they would have been like, okay, something's up.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
You can't necessarily say that now.
Yeah, it's interesting though that you say that, Kyle, because I've heard it from like probably we had the same circle of friends, so it's probably the same people that thought, oh well, it would be very Bears if they had taken Mac Jones. It would have been a very Bears move up, but people forget. I mean, they took a black quarterback over Joe Montana in '79, so it's not. It's not like it's unheard of. I mean, this
they
isn't the
housed
first time
CFL great Henry Burris.
Oh God, and also too, Jason Campbell played for a couple of years here. So I think people kind of need to kind of like are reaching a little bit when it comes to that. But
right. See, that's why. That's why I say I felt that same way too. But at the same time, none of those quarterbacks. Again, when we talk about the modern NFL and what it means to have a guy as your face.
Kyle, you know what you should have said? At the same time, they took Mitch Trubisky over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes.
See, I will say that.
That's where it came from. That's where it came from.
I've just gone back and forth with one of my best friends on Facebook. All of us are excited about the pick. He's still like, but they took Mitch Trubisky in 2017. I'm like, dude, I can't stay in 2017, man. We gotta get off of it.
Let it go. But that's just 4 years. It's been almost 4 years. It's been 4 years. Let it go. Gotta let it go.
So silly though. Like I get it if you have some skepticism in general of quarterbacks because a lot of them fail in the first round. But Mitch is this 13-year nothing. Didn't play in anything, any big games, anything of consequence. Versus a guy that's a multi-year starter playing in the SEC, playing in the Big Ten on the biggest of stage, going up against the number 1 overall pick and going toe-to-toe with him in the college football playoff. Like,
I told my friend, like, you're not familiar with what Fields can do. And really, like you say, Ryan, all you got to do is look at him in that Clemson game.
Yep.
Oh,
you should not have any worries, at least for the time being. Maybe maybe he'll have trouble with the coach at the coach and the coaching staff as it is now. But he's going to be here longer than that staff. If that staff fails him, you have to figure that. But
and it might work out in a way like if they haven't gotten contract extensions in Pace and Nagy, then they're coming up to the end. We don't know if they've got an extension, so maybe there's been something under the table that they don't want to tell us. But we can, I guess, assume at this point that they could be done after this year. If Justin Fields, who most likely is going to play at some point this year, because how can you not beat out Andy Dalton if you're Justin Fields? If he comes out and he looks terrible, I think that ownership is going to have even more of an agenda to get rid of Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy now that they brought in this franchise piece quarterback. So it kind of works, I think, in a way, a win-win for the Bears. If it works out and Justin Fields looks really good, ownership wants to keep these guys in place. If it doesn't look good, now ownership really can feel more confident about letting them go because they know we have this quarterback. We have to develop him.
It'll be interesting to see what direction is the team going to do this year. Because are they trying to go for it? Are they trying to contend this year? I mean, they got rid of Fuller. Robinson Harris is gone. So I'm wondering, what's the mindset here? What's the end game this season for the Bears? Are they going to try and maybe contend, in the North? Are they, probably trying to build for next year? I mean, it's sort of like you just don't know. And I think, look, you can plug guys in and out, but who knows?
We could dovetail that into this comment from our guy, Drew Stevens, who he threw out the over-under on the amount of games before Fields is under center.
I think there's a high chance it could be week 1. Like, to me, Lakeena, I don't think there's any doubt about it. They're trying to contend as hard as they possibly can contend. And if Justin Fields gives you the best chance to win, Matt Nagy has gone through 3 years of Mitch, I'm sorry. He hated every minute of it. If he's got a guy that he loves, he's not going to worry about Andy Dalton. If Bill Lazor was the head coach, maybe we'd have to worry about that a little. But he is not. And Matt Nagy is going to go with the guy that gets him excited. And we know what Nagy gets excited about. High efficiency quarterback, run and gun offense. And Andy Dalton can't do that. If Justin Fields can do it, he's going Justin.
You gave him $10 million, though. You really think you're going to
They
get $10
gave Mike
million?
Glennon 14 and took him out 4 games into the year.
Yeah.
That's why he's going to
Money
get. That's
is
why he's going to
money.
start.
You
That's why
throw
you're going to
money
get
at people.
Not in this truth. Look, in the pandemic, yeah. I mean that whole money thing is a whole different thing here. So,
Well, think about that, Lakeena. If they want merchandise, if they want more people in the stands, who do you go with, Dalton or Fields?
Yeah, I mean, look, I would say maybe week 4 or 5, depending on how the schedule is. If they are like 1-3, opening the season, you could probably, and Dalton stinks. I could probably see them, making a switch. But
what if Dalton stinks in the preseason and Justin Fields looks great?
That's preseason, though. That's going to be the contentment. That could be the contentment here. That that's preseason. So look,
I don't think so. You think that he would still go with Dalton? I don't think so.
We'll see. It's going to be interesting, though. We'll see what we don't know. Nagy's mindset is like kind of weird at times, so you never know.
And Fields has to win the job. Let me make that clear. Like, I don't think Nagy's going to go with Fields if it's a tie between Dalton and Fields. He's going to let Fields, develop behind the scenes. But if Fields is definitely and again, this is the NFL. This isn't college. If all the other players on that team know that Fields is the quarterback 1, it's going to be known, and they're not going to put up with Andy Dalton being the quarterback. They went through Mitch just as much as Matt Nagy and all of them. They're ready. We're seeing it from all these players. They are losing their minds thinking that they actually have a guy here.
That's a good point. And we haven't seen the insurrection yet in the locker room, but when you look at the way that the defense is aging, you have a guy like Allen Robinson who's now on a 1-year deal on the offense. It's like put up a shut-up time.
And I think we are all surprised as fans that Nagy hasn't lost the locker room at this point. You would think that they'd be him. And if he chooses a guy that they don't want as quarterback, that might be the final straw. Like, get this dude out of here. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
He'll be, yeah. I mean, look, I think he seems like a guy that commands a room, so I think it is surprising that he hasn't lost the locker room after everything that's transpired.
That's one of the few qualities I would give him as a coach is that he apparently has a good rapport with his players.
Yeah.
But he hasn't, beyond that, he hasn't exhibited much in his time as Bears coach.
That's why I'm saying if Fields is showing something, Nagy's sick of hearing how much of a bust he is. He is sick of that crap. If he's got a guy starting day 1 that can do the things that he wants, I don't think he gives a damn what the name is on the back of the jersey. He just wants that guy.
Yeah, he wants the time to win is now. And
to do his offense, to show why he was a head coach, why he's an offensive guru. He even said it, I didn't come here to run the I formation. He wants to run a system, and it's got to be killing him that he can't. Now he might have a guy that he can actually do it with.
Especially when you see that system being successful at the top level in Kansas City.
Back-to-back Super Bowls with 1 victory. I think Nagy's foaming at the mouth.
Indeed. But we're not going to stay too much longer on here. We'll celebrate, go off to our own and celebrate and see the other reactions elsewhere. But anything else that we look at the rest of the draft so far? Anything else that jumps out at you guys? We still haven't got to where the Bears were initially supposed to pick yet, but so far you've got like 5 Alabama guys have been picked, and all the quarterbacks that we expected to get off the board have come off the board now. Jalen Phillips, a defensive end for Miami, just got picked by the Dolphins at 18. So I don't know what is it. What if anything else has intrigued you guys? The Bears, of course, are going to be one of the big storylines of the tonight. But has anything else intrigued you guys?
Go first. You go first, Ryan.
I guess in terms of intrigue, the Trey Lance to San Francisco was very intriguing to me. I guess I feel like a 6 quarterback is going to go in the first round. I think someone's going to reach on one of these second round guys towards the end of this first round. I just think it's too long without a quarterback, and this year feels quarterback desperate. And all the reports in this offseason was you could expect a crazy quarterback carousel league-wide, that everybody's looking for some kind of new signal caller. So I would not be shocked if a Kellen Mond, who people are supposedly liking behind the scenes, goes around like 29, 30. And I think the big thing right now for the Bears is you're just hoping that there's a run on any other position besides wide receiver, offensive line, and I guess corner. But I'm not as worried about corner personally as everybody else. I do think it's their 4th biggest need, but I think that they can still address it later on in the draft.
And they have the picks to do it. And they have the picks to do it too.
And they get those 4 6-rounders. They might be able to package up to get into the 4th, maybe the 5th, if they really like a guy. And when you don't need quarterback as desperate now, I think the draft opens up for them.
If y'all want to look at other areas that the Bears may want to prioritize over the next couple of days, check out Ryan's draft guide on weareregalradio.com and our Substack site too, War Ready on Substack.
Yes. For me, I think the intriguing thing was that the Jamar Chase, Kyle, you and I, we talked about it earlier, and going to 5 to Cincinnati. I mean, it kind of seems like Joe Burrow's got some clout because there were a lot of tackles there. Look, Sewell, who I thought would have been a good fit for them, he ends up going to Detroit, and like that's a nice great pick for the people in that new regime.
A bit of a domino effect there.
Yeah, Javon Horn, who's Joe's son, feeling old, yay. He ends up going to Carolina. Devontae Smith, I mean, Hurts could always use another target, over in Philly. Michael Parsons, who opted out, look, Jerry Jones, he ends up going to Dallas, and Slater Jr., all conference, all Big Ten, from Northwestern, is going to be protecting Justin Herbert. I know he's feeling pretty good. Arizona got a good one. Got a good one here in Zayla Collins. Defensive Player of the Year, Zayvon Collins, Defensive Player of the Year of the American Conference from Tulsa. Yeah. So those are sort of my standouts.
Ryan, what you think about that Denver pick, man? I was like, man, that was a good sign that Fangio is in the house over there, man. He's
By the way, Kyle, I forgot to give you credit. You gave an amazing tweet. Thank God for Brad Biggs, because that was terrible by Goodell making us wait for that. I was screaming at the TV. I was saying, not now, Roger. This is day 2 shit. Come on, let's go.
They went in and out with all the picks. Did he want to come out and do a bit like it's Saturday Night Live or something? Like
at 11.
I'm so glad I didn't have to wait through that, man. Yeah, Big saved us a lot of trouble there. Brad Biggs, shout out, Brad Biggs.
Thank you. I'll say thanks, Brad.
But in terms of
killing people.
In terms of Denver, yeah, I was like, I mean, I love that corner. Don't get me wrong. Like, he is a great pick in a way, but I was shocked. Like Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, you can get by for a year or two, but you're going to be right back next year looking for a quarterback, basically. I was thinking that, like, you look at it really, starting with Detroit. Like, Detroit got a great pick, but if one of these quarterbacks in Fields and Jones turns out to be the man, like, people are going to be like, I don't know if you should have went left tackle there when you knew Jared Goff is not the future.
Right. That was another thing I noticed. See, I was peeping a little bit. ESPN got a stream on YouTube, and they have Matthew Berry on there amongst their group. And he was like, well, there's no way Detroit could mess up this pick. I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, we might look back at it now like, oh, man, all these teams could have had Fields. And hopefully we look back at it like that.
It'd be the Bears on the other side of the fence from where they typically are.
It's got to happen at some point, right? The Cubs even ended their drought. It's got to happen at some point.
Oh, man. Oh.
What about you, Kyle? What was sort of like the standouts for you so far as the first round's still going on as we speak?
Yeah, like I said, the Cincinnati pick, I like Chase going, being on the opposite of Higgins and just they like I said, they gotta do more to keep Burrow upright. But if they can, that's gonna be a heck of a team to watch, at least offensively. And like I say, that's sort of the Denver pick and how it set things up for the Bears. Like it was a nice development that we rarely see work in Chicago's favor. Like
I know,
and it was nice to see. But this has been a pretty fascinating first round. Like I want to see. I actually want to see Sewell work for the Lions because
he will.
Yeah, I mean he looks amazing on the field. So it likely will work. It's just the thing with
It's just too bad he's going to be blocking for no one. That's the
right.
problem.
Right. Who is he going to be blocking for? What type of
problem? Because who was it? Who was the guy? Joe Thomas.
Yeah.
All-time Hall of Famer, left tackle. Like, yeah, that's great.
You very much have that. Yeah. He's right. All
how are those 3 and 3 seasons all those years and the 2 and 14s when you had the All-Pro left tackle?
Exactly, man. So
one thing though, speaking of tackle, you're talking about Jamar Chase, some of this. I wonder if the league is looking like, hey, grab some of these high-end blue chip type players that aren't tackle. Like I was even surprised Slater went as low because that's a great pick by the Chargers, like you said, Lakeena. But I wonder if the league's saying like this draft is very deep at tackle. We can get one of those. And hopefully it is that way because that means that sets up beautifully for the Bears in the second round or even the third round. So I'm wondering league-wide, get some of the top defensive players, some of the top wide receivers, some of these top guys. Don't worry about tackle because we're going to come right back around to tackle.
Well, Ryan, before we go out, because you had like I said, you had the Bears at 20 if they stayed at 20, getting Darisaw from Virginia Tech, and he's not come off the board yet, has he?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't right.
Giants picking now at 20, but he won't likely fall down to the Bears' second round pick. But who do you see possibly going for the Bears in the second round? And the second pick, you had Kyle Trask, the quarterback from Florida, being that quarterback pick. So that's not going to happen now. So what do you see day 2 shaping out like for the Bears?
There's a couple guys, and I'm blanking on the name of the North Dakota State tackle. That's a guy to keep an eye on. He is a guy from a smaller program, but really consistent starter, pro scheme. He is a guy that I think is rising up draft boards, and we're seeing the top end tackles still on the board, like you said, that just pushing him down unless a run of tackles happens. New left tackle, Brady Christensen. He is the guy that defended Zach Wilson, a multi-year starter. He should be in that late second round area. That's where a lot of people had him pegged. He's a very consistent guy, and you could start him off on the right side if you want to and keep Leno on the left for the 1 year that he has on his contract, and then you can move Christensen over to the left side. But those are 2 guys that I would keep an eye on because I'm assuming there's going to be a run on tackles either late in this first round or early in the second round because there's just too many good players for this run not to happen.
The depth is there, like I said, at tackle. Just find the right one that fits your scheme if you're a Bears fan, and you worry about corner and those type of things later on in the draft. My hopeful that I don't think any chance that it happens. If Tevin Jenkins could be picked up by the Bears in the second round, that would be that dude is nasty. He's going to bring a tone. He'd be perfect as a second rounder. He seemed kind of high at around 20, but even then it would have been a good pick. Man, that would be a guy. That would change a lot of things, I think, for this Bears team.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of mocks have him like you say, at 20 or at least in the first round. So, but if he could drop, yeah. But that's the tackle for North Dakota, Dylan Radins, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
I like him a lot too. He's a guy that came from a very good offensive line. That program, like they're legit for an FCS, like as legit as FCS can get. And that offense, pro style, it's not this just spread and now I got to learn how to block now that I'm going into the NFL. So I kind of like some of those type guys.
All right, well, we'll see how it goes down, man. I think I should be on live a little bit during the second round. I'm gonna do some general sports talk, but we gonna definitely keep an eye on what the Bears are doing as well on Facebook tomorrow. But appreciate you guys, Ryan. Appreciate you coming in, and Lakeena, you've been great all night. And
by the way, they got the Justin Fields merchandise already. You can get it.
What number?
Yep.
What number is he looking?
I don't see the jersey. I just see shirts and things. Future franchise quarterback. I don't think the number has come out yet because I don't think he has to pick one. I think still.
Yeah,
I think he's going to go with one, but he has to pick it officially. I believe.
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's the rule. Yep, that's the
it's
rule.
It's going to be a hot seller. It's definitely going to be a hot seller.
Hey, I'm already thinking. I just hate football jerseys. That's a problem. Might have to do get the Bulls. That's like a basketball jersey with the Fields on the back, something like that.
Yeah,
get a little bit.
I'm weird too about getting jerseys of people who are like 15 years younger than me now.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just too weird. It's too weird.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
good point.
It's too weird.
Maybe I'll just go clean shaven and I can just pass as maybe younger than Justin Fields.
Right. You have a.
I'm dreaming high. I'm dreaming high on draft day.
High. Yeah, they high.
We all dreaming tonight. We could dream a little bit better when it comes to the Bears.
For real.
Gotta aim high. Aim high. Aim high.
Hey, quarterback checked off the list after round 1. That's best case scenario right there, baby.
Yeah, you really can't ask for more than that, man. Can't really ask for more than we got tonight. So, yeah, enjoy it, Bears fans. Except for you self-flagellating fans who just can't enjoy anything with the Bears.
And Green Bay, trade that guy. Trade that guy out of there. Bears come favorite in the division. Let's go. Trade him.
Maybe that'll make all Bears fans happy. If he
Justin Fields and Rodgers gone. Come on, who's the favorite in the division at that point?
That's like 3 extra wins right there, man.
Who's the favorite at that point? Tell me who's the favorite with Aaron Rodgers out of the picture.
Like I said, pick his ear for the Giants before we officially sign up. See what this pick could have been for the Bears if they had stayed pat.
Yeah, I'm interested because it's gonna be Darisaw.
You could never tell with the Giants, though, man.
No, you never know.
You can never tell with Roger Goodell, apparently. My Lord. Like, what is he doing? Can we save some of these shenanigans for later on in the draft? Like, this is the first round. Let's go.
Really?
You got enough drama and entertainment. I don't understand what's happening here. Like, they have
to put him back in his living room next year or something.
Oh, man. It actually worked better.
Kadarius Toney. Wow. Okay. I saw some people putting them with the Bears.
I was debating between Toney and Darisaw, but I went with tackle.
Daniel Jones got another.
I almost thought the lady was naked for a second. My God.
Oh, good grief. Oh, what is that she's wearing? Okay. Is that a zipper or I don't know what that was.
Oh man. Yeah, I gotta. Yeah, I still haven't eaten nothing. I gotta eat something.
You go eat something. Go eat.
I'm getting a little lightheaded, y'all.
Go eat.
Me too. Ditto.
Go eat.
All right, we out, man. Y'all, we'll see y'all. Second City Sports. Y'all back on tomorrow, right?
Yes, sir. We are.
Yeah,
check
so
that
get
out.
Lot of reacts.
Lots of
reactions here.
Tomorrow. Anchor.fm. That's gonna be on Saturday, but by tomorrow evening, you'll get the video with Sid and Lakeena reacting to the Bears on YouTube. So check that out. Check us all out. WARR Media. We are in here like swimwear and like whatever that lady had on at Kadarius.
I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was.
We'll see y'all, man. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
See you later, everybody.
See y'all.